Welcome to the Small Business Made Simple podcast, brought to you by socialmediaandmarketing.com.au. Being in business is never easy, but it can be simple, or at least simpler. Join me, your host Jen Donovan, every week where we focus on marketing, social media, and working towards simplifying your business. You with me? Let's do this.
Gonna dream it big, 'cause someone out there listening. Everyone's got a voice to give, and it's time I heard you whistling, 'cause there's no point at all, in dreaming small.
Well, hey there, my fabulous listener. Welcome to episode 199 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. I'm pretty excited that we're almost at 200, but I do thank you for tuning in today and lending me your ears. I know there's lots of choices out there, and I really do appreciate you making my podcast one of them. If you are enjoying this podcast, then I would love you to take a screenshot and share it on your socials. It just lights me up and brings me so much joy when people tag me on their socials and say that they are a listener. Sometimes it feels like a one-way conversation, so it's always good to get to know you the way you're getting to know me by listening to this podcast. Don't forget, you can find everything that I mentioned here in the show notes at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/199. And before we get started in today's episode, though, which is all about doing business differently to grow your business, just wondering how you went with last week's episode. Amanda from Endurance Financial, she had some pretty great financial advice for us. And so I really hope you took the opportunity to listen to that. I love her passion for her numbers. And if you aren't paying yourself something from your business, which was definitely her message, then go and do it. And if you weren't, and now you are, or you've implemented a strategy, or you've put some thought into it, or you've made yourself pay yourself, I'd love to know. Let me know. Tag me, tag Amanda as well, and we will celebrate with you. But on to today's episode, because I'm talking all about doing business a little bit differently. I guess this conversation has come out of having many and varied conversations, whether that be through emails or DMs or just talking with colleagues or friends or clients, just a whole heap of various business owners. But there's this sense of how can we do business differently? And I guess the crust of all the conversation that is around this is, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Or you might have heard people say the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and over and expect a different result. So that's really what I want to chat about today, changing things up, doing business a little bit differently to get a different result, but also looking outside the marketing square to help you reach your goals. So I guess we look at this in two sections, which is doing things differently and then changing things to get change. My first and most obvious question here is, what are your business goals? Changing things for the sake of changing things because some crazy lady on a podcast told you had to do different business differently just won't work. Like, what sort of things do you have to do differently to help reach your business goals? And just changing for the heck of it, that's not going to work. And that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about doing business differently to reach your business goals. If you want a different result from a campaign or a strategy, then what are you going to do that's different? Let's say, for instance, you have an e-commerce business. You're an e-commerce business owner and you want to grow your online presence and increase your brand awareness and sell more products, say especially on Instagram, but you hate Reels. You think that they're stupid, and frankly, you hate video altogether and you don't want to do any of it. Well, then in my opinion, as it stands today, as I record this, and where social media is at the moment, turning up day after day, week after week, and not embracing what's trending, what's working, not building an audience, not bringing your audience along with you as a human being, not just as a brand, well, it almost seems ridiculous. It's like that definition of insanity. You want a different result for your business. You want more brand awareness. You want more sales. You want to increase your online presence, but you're not willing to do anything different to get it there. Your business is here. You want to go there, but I expect everything I'm doing today to get me to where I want to go, as opposed to you thinking about what can I do differently. If you're not prepared to do anything that's different, then I don't quite understand how you can be prepared to expect a different result. It's just not going to happen, or it's going to happen very, very slowly. If what you're doing right now isn't working for your business, then do something different. It doesn't mean that you can't do what you're doing now, but it does mean that it's time to change some things up to get a different result. If you're not in e-commerce, but perhaps you're a leadership coach who needs more bookings, or an accountant who needs more clients, what are you doing now, like right now with your marketing, to get that? What are you working on that's different to what you've done on the past to get that change to happen? If you are an accountant and your books are 80% booked, but you want them to be 100% booked, but you've kind of reached a plateau in your business, then doing what you're doing to get that 80% is probably not going to get you over the line to get the next 20. The next 20 need the next level. They need something different to transfer them from, a looker or a follower or someone that sits in the background to actually being a paying client. And it seems so simple, and it probably is when someone points it out to you. But the reality is that no one of us is immune to this. We all get stuck in our ways. We do the doing, and we forget sometimes to see if what we're doing is actually working. And by working, I mean, is it helping us to reach our goals? And I guess, it's mid-year. I haven't done a mid-year check-in. I guess this is kind of like my mid-year check-in for you all to go, what goals did you set at the start of the year? What marketing strategies did you put behind them? Did they work? How far did they take you? And if you haven't quite reached your goal yet, then what's the next strategy that you need to try? Because if nothing changes, nothing changes. Which brings me to the second part of my conversation here with myself, is doing business differently to grow. Let me give you my latest example of doing business differently, and it involves my other business, which is Spend With Us by From Bush Business. So www.spendwithus.com.au is my other business, which I'm sure most of you are aware of. It's an online marketplace that supports rural and regional small businesses. And one of our biggest goals that we set last year, late last year, because we do our planning in October, November for the following year, is we wanted to create more brand awareness of who we are and what we're trying to achieve for rural and regional small businesses, and also be an advocate for small rural and regional businesses. They were our big, hairy, audacious goals. How do we do that? Well, we were doing it, but if we wanted to step it up, we needed to do something different to what we were doing back in 2021. So basically, our goal is to become the Amazon of rural and regional Australian marketplaces. So one of the biggest strategies we came up with to create that brand awareness and create that trust in the marketplace for 2022 was to conduct the first ever Australian Rural Business Awards. There was no until we did it, awards specifically for rural and regional small businesses, which we thought was fairly unbelievable. Hey, how have no one created this before us? So yes, there was a lot of work, and yes, it was a massive marketing strategy from my teeny tiny team of Sarah and I and a couple of VAs, and a salesperson who we hired specifically for this. It was a big strategy for us to take on and to have pay off. And I guess we haven't. It's only been 2 weeks post-event at the recording of this podcast, so we haven't kind of seen all the payoff, but we hope the payoff will be to create more brand awareness, to let people know who we are and what we're advocating for, and to highlight the absolute talent that exists in rural and regional small businesses in Australia. We wanted something that set us apart from our competition and introduced ourselves as the market leaders in this space. And I don't want to sound too harsh that we had the strategy behind wanting to celebrate rural and regional small businesses, we were 2,000,000%. We wanted to highlight the absolute talent that existed in rural and regional Australian small business. And we wanted to get these businesses more limelight in the media and highlight their businesses, but we're a business. So, of course, we had some strategy behind it. It wasn't a profit-driven strategy. It was a brand awareness, brand creating strategy. We had to do something different to, I guess, make more noise in the marketplace we existed. And so that's what we tried to do. Now, I'm not suggesting to you all that you go out and create something this big, although if you want to, kudos for you. I will champion you the whole way. But I am suggesting that you take a look at your goals and take a look at what you're doing, your now marketing plan, your now marketing strategy, and see if the two are working together or whether they're working, I guess, in different spaces or not working for you at all. Perhaps doing business differently for you might look like writing those blogs you've been promising yourself you will do, doing some SEO on your website that, again, you've been wanting to do. Start showing up more online in videos and showcasing you and your products or your services. Starting a podcast to show your expertise, build your brand and extend your network. Open that TikTok account or that Pinterest account that you've been putting off now for so long. Perhaps you need to write, design and construct that course that you've been wanting to sell for a while. Maybe you need to implement a new email marketing program, which I must say, that's actually my big goal for the second half of 2022. Maybe it's time to hire that VA to help you systematize your business and take some things off your plate. Or maybe it's time to hire that business strategy coach, that would be me, to help take your business to the next level like you've been dreaming of and to keep you accountable as you go. I could list things over and over and on, but what is it for you? What do you need to do differently to help you reach your goals? We have literally probably, by the time this episode goes out, we'll have some of July left, August, September, October, November. So 4 months really, because December, depending on what industry you're in, so December's probably a bit of a write-off and so's January. So what do you have to do differently now that will help you reach your 2022 goals in the next 4 months if you haven't already reached them? Or if you have reached them, what are the new set of goals and what do you need to do differently there? If you feel like your business is in a bit of a slump and it's not moving where you want it to, or you are thinking, as I am, that it's July and I still haven't, insert what you still haven't done, then this episode could be really timely for you. Because again, if we swing back to where we started, nothing changes if nothing changes. If you want a different result, you need to do something differently. Different might not yield the perfect result, but it will give you a different result. And we can work with that. We can test and measure and polish and repurpose whatever that is there. If you need some help with this, reach out. Reach out for help to do things differently, to get the result that you need. Follow different people online, listen to different podcasts, but don't not listen to this one, but maybe reach out and listen to some other podcasts. Employ a VA, contract a mentor or a coach. Ask some business friends for help, that can take you towards the action that you need. I say all of this with so much love because I guess as a mentor and as a coach, and when I'm talking to people and they have these goals, and I need to keep nudging them to move to do things differently, that's part of my role as a coach. And I do it with so much love, but I do it because I can see, the forest for the trees or the trees for the forest? I really don't know which way that goes, but an outsider can see things that you can't. So join me, won't you? as we do some different things heading into the second half of the year. I'd love you to follow along what I'm doing differently, but I'd also like to be there to help you, whether that's just, tagging me on social media and I can give you some cheers and some love and things like that. This is just so important. I think, if you have a pen and paper with you now, write down those words. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And just keep that as the philosophy when you think, oh, I really want more sales. What am I going to do differently? Because clearly what I'm doing now isn't getting me where I want to go. Or maybe it is, with a little bit of twixing and a little bit of tweaking and measuring and just a little bit of change. That's all I wanted to talk to you about today on episode 199. Let's continue that conversation in my Like-Minded Business Owners Facebook group. You can join the group if you haven't already. I have some really great guest speakers coming up in that group in the second half of the year, which I'm excited to share with you. But that is it for another podcast episode. I will see you next week for episode 200. Like, what the actual frig? 200 episodes. Anyway, in the meantime, between now and then, let's hang out and get social on social. You'll find me on Instagram, Facebook, and of course, a LinkedIn. But whatever you do, remember, my small business peep, as my opening song says, there is no point in dreaming small.
No time like the present. Tell it like you feel it, say it proud, be true, and let us see you for the star that you are. No point in dreaming small.
I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, the Yorta Yorta people, on which I record this podcast and conduct my business today, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I extend this respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here with us today as well.